Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of 6 for 6 here. We're bringing you the 6 best college football games to start week 4 of the college football season, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely a lot of great action in the mix. Within this mix, ladies and gentlemen, let me make sure I'm saying that week 4 is the correct week to really get the show on the road. But yeah, 6 for 6, week 4 for the college football season. And, see our 4 season here, and episode 7. Last week's episode, we went 3 for 3. Again, we're perfect with our 500 pick. If this was baseball batting average of 5%, that'd be fantastic. But ladies and gentlemen, we need more correct picks. But that changes our overall record for this season to 18, 16, and 1. So we're gonna do a nice little speed run to get through. We got some Friday night football action here and a lot of good stuff slated up for Saturday, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, let's get the show on the road. To kick things off, ladies and gentlemen, in this 6th slot, we have Washington versus Washington State on CBS Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on CBS. Washington State, a classic rivalry, the Apple Cup, I believe it's called. So we're bringing that back. If you look at the matchups, the thing that has me concerned is Washington State lost to Northern Texas. That's the biggest loss, and it was 59-10. So that is a huge loss, huge margin, which is why I'm giving Washington the edge in this one, even though the records are fairly similar. But the predictive analysis has like a 93% chance of victory for Washington. I'm going to stick with that pick as well. So give me Washington to beat Washington State Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on CBS. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we got Friday night football. We got Iowa versus Rutgers. Great Big Ten Friday night action, ladies and gentlemen. Rutgers is 3-0 going into it. Iowa 2-1. Iowa's only losses to Iowa State, but losing by 3 in a field goal fashion. But Rutgers struggle against Ohio University, which gave the Ohio State University a struggle in the first half as well. So I think Rutgers has that better offensive firepower to get the ball moving. However, you can't sleep on Iowa's defense, shutting teams down and making it like a cakewalk. I think Rutgers' offense will find a way to get through Iowa's defense, and Iowa's offense will still be Iowa's offense and not be able to score. So you can catch Iowa's Rutgers Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and I have Rutgers winning this matchup. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, more Big Ten action. Number 9 Illinois versus number 19 Indiana, and another Big Ten fashion showdown on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on NBC. Both teams are 3-0. I think Illinois should be slightly higher since they're ranked up for their percentage of victory coming to a 37%. But ladies and gentlemen, Indiana has a 62, almost 63% chance of victory. If we look at some of the teams that they match up against, the only good team that I would say to pull out is Duke, and Illinois destroyed them 45-19. But outside of that, they played probably weaker opponents, so it's really hard to judge. Both offenses are firing, but we can't really evaluate the defense. But since Indiana's at home and they reached the college football playoffs, those guys have experience to get there and the drive to get back. So give me with the upset in the rankings, but even though Indiana's favorite, I like Indiana in this matchup. Going to be a close one. Definitely going to be a Big Ten thriller for sure, ladies and gentlemen. So you can catch number 9 Illinois versus number 19 Indiana Saturday, September 20th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time, and I have Indiana winning it, ladies and gentlemen. Next up, in the 3rd slot, ladies and gentlemen, we have South Carolina versus number 23 Missouri, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on ESPN. I think this is a no-brainer. Losing to Vanderbilt, even though Vanderbilt has becoming good, only putting up 7 against Vanderbilt, South Carolina, come on. But you beat Virginia Tech 24-11. Like, what's going on with you, South Carolina? However, Missouri took care of Kansas 42-31. Just looking at that, you have some comparison in the mix. But I think Missouri is a slightly better team in this matchup, even though they have an 80% chance of victory. I think that should be a little bit more in the 60s or more of 70. But that's just me on it. I think Missouri is going to take care of business. So you can catch South Carolina versus number 23 Missouri on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on ESPN. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, in our 2 slot, we got Texas Tech, number 17 in the nation, versus Utah, which is number 16 in the nation, noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time on Fox. Definitely a class showdown right there in the Big 12. You can't get much feistier than this. Utah's always has that grit and grind and find their way to do it. They took care of UCLA, dropping 43 points and only allowing to give up 10 points. But Texas Tech, on the other hand, shut down Oregon State, which was 45-14. So definitely reputable opponents in the group of 5, in the Power 4 at this point in time. So definitely going to be interesting, the matchup. But I'm going to give Utah the edge because they're normally tough to beat at home, even though Texas Tech has a 35% chance of victory compared to Utah's 65% chance of victory. I just think Utah has that grit to get back there to win the Big 12 and try to do something special and to get there on, what they need to get the job done. Without further ado, let's do a quick recap before we reveal the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen. So in the 6th slot, we got Washington versus Washington State, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on CBS, and I have Washington winning it. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, in our 5th slot, we have Iowa versus Rutgers, Friday Night Football in the Big 10, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and I have Rutgers winning it. Next up, we got number 9 Illinois versus number 19 Indiana, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on NBC, and I have Indiana winning this matchup. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we got South Carolina versus Missouri, number 23 in the nation, Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on ESPN, and I have Missouri winning it. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, we should have made this game the number 1 game of the week. I think there could be something else closer, but this is the closest as you can get with teams that are evenly matched, which is Texas Tech, number 17 in the nation, versus Utah, who's number 16 in the nation. You can catch this game noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and give me Utah winning it. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, the game of the week. We got number 22 Auburn versus number 11 Oklahoma, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC. Oklahoma just took care of Temple, dropping 42, but the week prior, they took care of business against Michigan, holding them to only 13 points, 24 out of 13. But Auburn, only as good opponent is against Baylor week 1, dropping 38 points. But I think Oklahoma has a little bit better of an offense chance to take care of business, and playing against Michigan and with Michigan's defense, I think this is a good victory for Oklahoma to win, even though both teams are 3-0. Definitely going to be a key decider in conference play in the SEC, but I like Oklahoma in this matchup. You can get 22 Auburn versus number 11 Oklahoma, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC. Without further ado, let's get a quick recap in, and then we'll send you on out of here so you can enjoy your college football weekend, as well as the NFL games that are taking place on Thursday night and Sunday night and on Monday night. First up, ladies and gentlemen, like we said earlier, we got Washington versus Washington State, Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on CBS, and I have Washington winning this matchup. Next up, we got Iowa versus Rutgers, Friday Night Lights in the Big 10, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and I have Rutgers winning it. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have number 9 Illinois versus number 19 Indiana. That is going to be on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time on NBC. Next up, we have South Carolina versus Missouri, number 23 in the nation. You can catch it 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on ESPN. And you can catch that, and I have Missouri winning this matchup. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we got Texas Tech, number 17 in the nation, versus Utah, number 16 in the nation, at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific Time on Fox, and I have Utah winning this matchup. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, the game of the week, number 22 Auburn versus number 11 Oklahoma. You can catch this game on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Time on ABC. and I have Oklahoma winning this one. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, last week's episode, we went 3 for 3. Hopefully, we can make it 4-2, maybe 5-1, or the glorious perfect 6 for 6. The correct 6 picks for 6 games. We try to do it every week, and we have only got it once in our program's history. So hopefully we can strike that soon this week with a lot of great picks going into our favor. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, our season 4 record right now is 18-16-1. Thank you so much for tuning in this week's episode of 6 for 6, and we'll catch you here next week on 6 for 6. So long for now. Bye-bye.